I'm Steve Gruber. This is Muncie, Indiana. And Muncie is a small Midwestern town, a college town where thousands of kids come every day, dreaming big. Big houses, big cars, big success.
So the American dream to me means that if you want to get it done, you can get it done. Whatever you put your mind to, you can get it done if you have the right mindset.
I think as long as you work hard, you trust in the Lord, what can go wrong?
It's almost dawn here in Muncie, and there are storms in the forecast today. And this town and the ones around here have faced storms before, big storms, but a different kind.
The communities we work in, they don't even want us here. They want doctors, lawyers, and accountants.
I think if you work hard enough, you can find it, but I don't think it's easy. I mean, if it was easy, everyone would do it.
Everybody's struggling, big time.
The rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer.
This stuff we're bringing in from cratefuls for pennies on the dollars from overseas is contaminated with lead. And our drinking water in California is now contaminated.
West of New York and east of LA sits a vast piece of real estate. A place often overlooked by those on the coasts. Millions of people live here, but few are understood by the media elites. And worse, many are ridiculed for what they believe about their God, their country, and themselves. This is Steve Gruber's America.
Indiana, the crossroads of America, and home to one of the most popular race car tracks in the world, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. About an hour north of the iconic raceway in Indianapolis sits Muncie. And here is where you will find Ball State University. And this is where our story begins, for those in search of the American dream and those who have lost it. What is the American dream today? Think about it. Think about where you grew up, where I grew up. America today compared to 25 or 50 years ago. Where do we go from here? What's working, what's not? What about our kids and grandkids? Really, what is the American dream today? An expensive sports car, a high-paying job, the perfect family, living in a mansion. It's Ball State University's homecoming weekend, so we got to ask a few college kids exactly what the American dream means to them. I want to ask you about the American dream. What is the American dream? What do you want to do once you graduate? What's your vision for the future, for yourself or this country?
Personally, myself, I think the American dream is withstanding a good income, good job, keeping a good family. You do what you want, you know, under the American rules. You have a smoking wife or smoking girlfriend. That's about it.
And what do you think? What's the American dream to you?
Not having money problems, so having a good job, having like a good husband that has a good job, having some kids, living in a good house, kids being involved and like good at school and stuff, and like just life being good, having a few dogs.
What do you think about the government passing out checks the way they do when people don't want to work for it?
I don't agree with it.
I mean,
go Trump, baby. I think as long as you work hard, you trust in the Lord, what can go wrong?
What can go wrong? Well, if you're alive today and you're over the age of, say, 50, you can probably answer that question. As all of us know, things change. Everything changes, and not always for the better. Just ask Johnny Moore, a lifelong resident of Muncie who has seen the devastation of change throughout central Indiana. What is this?
It's the decimation of the Port Warner, Muncie, Indiana.
What do you guys make here?
Transfer cases. 70% of the business was Ford F-150s.
I mean, this place was huge.
Yeah.
When did it go away? 2009.
How long did you work here? 26 and a half years.
It's got to break your heart to see this.
Oh, every day. Now I'm still working, automotive for another company, but I'm 62 years old. I could have been retired 13 years ago.
And you're making the same product you were making?
Exactly the same product. In 2009, the plant closed. We had 7 individuals. They had 30 years to the day the plant closed, and BorgWarner never gave them full retirement.
Over 90 acres of land and 1 million square feet. In its heyday, there were over 6,000 employees working at BorgWarner, and I believe most of the people working here would have told you they were living the American dream, until one day it all came crashing down.
There were 700 people at the time the plant closed. We had like $300 million in our retirement fund, and BorgWarner wouldn't just let all 700 retire. We could have paid everybody or been retired, and the people here would have been better.
Is the American dream alive here still?
In my eyes, hell no. No.
The devastation of these plants closing, whether it's BorgWarner like this one, or General Motors, or Ball Glass, it's not just this plant that's gone. It's not these hundreds or thousands of jobs that are lost. It's everything else around that also dies. Every small company folds up because there's no money left. The jobs are gone, the people are gone, and unfortunately, too often, the hope is gone. It's game day at Ball State University. You can feel the positive energy. And to some, this is part of the American dream, having fun with friends and family and enjoying the day. And I think the only worry around here is whether or not Ball State will win or lose. I meet Hunter Haycock, a student at Ball State, and ask him about the American dream. Tell me about the American dream. What does it mean to you?
It's the dream of being free. I'd say just like America's very open. Anybody can do anything they want. It's really the land of the free, honestly. There's no restrictions on it. It's really freedom.
What would you say to people, because they say it all the time, it's not fair, it's not a fair chance, they don't have an opportunity here. What do you really think about that?
I disagree with that. I'd say if you have like a dream, this is the country you'd want to be. I'd say we have the most freedom out of any other country, at least. Whatever you want to do, you can do it in America.
So you believe in America?
For sure. Greatest country on the planet.
You believe that the American dream is alive and well. A lot of people say that it's not.
Hard work turns into whatever you want to make it into. This is the country that if you have a dream, this is where it's going to happen at. Whatever you put your mind to, you can get it done. But there's nothing in here, nothing in America's holding you back.
Nothing.
Nothing.
The American dream. All of us look for it. All of us want it. We look for it in a job, a marriage, a house, a family, a vacation, or for some it's owning their own business. Some of us found it a long time ago, while others are beginning to see it disappear right in front of our eyes. Just 30 minutes west of Muncie is Anderson, Indiana. And here you will find Lift Aloft. They make a few different products, and one product is aircraft stairs, used by world leaders, including ones that American presidents walked down, and some were tripped up. Todd Hunt owns this business, and also a few more, like Holt Products in Mason, Michigan. It's here where I meet up with Todd to talk about his American dream and where it is today. When you walked into Holt Products here, you were 23 years old, company was in trouble. You applied what you learned in college and a drive that defined you. Tell me about that starting point of your career.
My family's owned this business for 82 years. I went off to college, did my thing, became a CPA, worked in public accounting for a while, came back to the family business that was in trouble. It was really a good opportunity for me to start my career off. It was difficult, but it sort of paved the way for me for the rest of my career, which I've sort of pursued that same theme with taking over distressed companies.
Bringing companies back from the brink is what you do. It's your specialty.
for 30 years.
So we were at Lift Aloft here a few days ago, but as you drive around Muncie or Anderson, Lift Aloft is the exception and not the rule. I mean, I drive by places that look like they were bombed out in World War II. I look at General Motors left, Ball Glass left, Borg Warner left. Right?
Chrysler left, yeah.
They all abandoned. In fact, at one time, that area of Indiana was second only to Flint, Michigan for the number of General Motors plants. What's going on in America?
One of the highest standards of living, Steve, in the country was that area. They all pulled out. It was all offshored. Anderson, Indiana is a small Flint, a town that was all predicated, had some of the biggest high schools in the country. Some of the highest wages were paid, and within a matter of 20 years, they pulled out. And now today, this sounds foolish, but today the debate at Anderson, Indiana is whether they flood the town and make a reservoir out of it. It's that bad. Your series, Forgotten America. It's not Forgotten America. The people that are running this country nowadays don't even know this America exists. Component part manufacturing, they don't know it exists. I spent some time last night preparing for this interview, and I watched your first show. It was on the forgotten blueberry farmer in Michigan. If you took the word blueberry out of that show and inserted steel components, it's the exact same show. The guy in your show last week talking about, I can't grow blueberries in Michigan and ship them to Texas as cheap as they can grow blueberries in Peru and ship them to Texas. Something's wrong. Let me tell you about what's going on right here, right now, in this very plant that you stand in. We are working on an opportunity to, quote, shock towers. For lack of a better way of putting it, they're shock absorbers. They're the external housing for the shock absorbers for side-by-sides. It's currently being built in Taiwan. Fortunately, the OEMs have said it's politically correct right now to buy American. It's all become a big thing now with COVID, right? They come and they say, we want you to quote this job for us, a long-standing customer that we have. We've got a great relationship with them. We need it to be built here in this country. $50 a piece is what I quote the job for. I have $30 in material in it.
Plus labor.
Every one of these machines has a $300,000 price tag on it, basically, give or take a little bit. I'm running those machines for $35 an hour. When my grandfather started this business and my father ran this business, the people that made the money and had the highest standard of living in this country were people that made something, that worked in places all over the country just like this.
Building things.
Building something.
What do we build today?
Nothing. And now, who makes the money? The service companies.
I'm back at the tailgate party in Muncie, Indiana. Now this is living life. Unfortunately, tailgate parties only last for half a day. I come across a gentleman who went all out for this party. His name is Lloyd Brown, a graduate from Ball State University. Went to college here?
Yes, I did.
When? How long ago?
It was 94 to 98, so, God, about 22, 23 years ago.
Been a while.
Yeah.
Changed?
You know what? It seems beautiful where the buildings still look fantastic. It seems like it's expanded quite a bit, and the campus really looks great.
What'd you study? What do you do now?
You know, I studied marketing and business.
How'd you do? Doing all right?
Yeah, doing well.
Where do you live?
Live in Indianapolis, Indiana, Brownsburg specifically.
Yeah.
But after Ball State, had a chance to get a great career selling beer and wine. And from there, it was right up my alley, especially with some of the things I did while I was here at Ball State. But I had a great time, and it was a really great chance to go from marketing and business and kind of apply that to a great career. And from there, I've been in the industry ever since I graduated.
So the American dream, thriving for you.
Yeah.
Tell me, what does it mean to you?
You know, I think just an opportunity to learn, to grow, to find your own path, also to establish a family. For myself, I've got my wife here, I've got 3 kids, 3 great kids, and we got some kids that are now looking for college. So when it comes to Ball State and the opportunity just to live that American dream, I think that we're kind of a great example of, you know, the kids, the wife, the dogs, and all that kind of stuff. But I think everything kind of started right here with the basis that we learned from Ball State.
Ball State, the whole community then still surrounds, it's the nucleus.
Yeah. Yep.
Still works for you.
It does.
When you ask most people about the American dream, they mention a great marriage, kids, dogs, and a good paying job. While we walked the streets at the university on game day, the party was everywhere and not a care in the world for most. It's here where we met McKenna Perry, a 20-year-old junior at Ball State, and McKenna's family has deep ties to Muncie and Anderson and this part of Indiana. Not far from the bustling streets of Muncie, Indiana, and the campus of Ball State University is the small town of Anderson. It too thrived on the American dream. Big corporations like General Motors built plants like this one. But that American dream came crashing down for the very last time in 2007, when General Motors said they were leaving forever. When you hear about Muncie, you hear about Anderson, you hear about Madison County, Indiana, you hear about General Motors. Your family lived that life. But what do you see today? All those companies are gone. Ball Glass is gone, for which this university is named. It's all changed. What do you make of that?
We went from this town where we were the picture perfect middle town America, like everyone wanted a town like Muncie, and now you drive around and there's some parts of towns where you want to roll your windows up because you don't feel comfortable, you don't feel safe. I wish I got to see the Muncie that like my parents talk about and like they grew up in. I think it's getting back to that kind of, especially with like the north side kind of like picking up. But the south side of town is still pretty run down.
It touches you.
Yeah, it kind of breaks my heart, honestly. Because like this was a town where it was my family's like dream town. Like this is where they wanted to stay their whole life.
Tell me about the American dream. What does that mean to you?
The American dream has changed, absolutely, but I mean, everything has to change as time goes on. So it's not the simple white picket fence. The dad goes to work, mom stays home with the kids. I think the American dream is being able to make a living wage and work and doing what you love and doing what you want to do and live where you love and live where you want to. I think it's really hard now. I think there's not really an option to have that. We go to work and there's no single state where the minimum wage is high enough for someone to rent a 2-bedroom apartment, let alone have utilities, pay for a car. I think it's hard to, find. I think it's something that we kind of lost.
When you hear them talk about General Motors, I mean, those were the glory days, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the glory days of the Anderson Speedway and Muncie, Indiana, and Ball Glass. I mean, 1960s and 70s. This was the place.
Yeah.
It's not that place anymore.
No, and like I will sit and like I'll hear my grandpa talk about it. He'll just talk about how he used to get up and he would just see everyone at the same time kind of get up and head to the factories. And at the same time, everyone would clock out and head on home. And it was like clockwork. And now it's like, he doesn't see that anymore. And it's not normal for him. And he's been living that for 20 some years now, but to him, it's still not normal.
My time in Muncie with McKenna comes to an end. But her family's story continues as I visit her father, Brent Perry, in Toledo, Ohio. And it's here where I hear the rest of the story firsthand.
My father worked for General Motors before me, and my grandfather worked for Borg Warner, which was in Muncie. I'm a third-generation auto worker.
You're proud.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's what fed my father, it's what fed me, and it's what's fed my children.
Tell me how it's changed from the time you were a kid until today.
Middle class was vibrant. The homes were well kept. People were proud. You go back now and most of the industry, manufacturing is left.
Does the government of the United States need to do more to protect plants like this one, the one you work at, the ones that disappeared in Flint, Michigan and Anderson, Indiana? Do they need to do more to protect the American worker and the American middle class?
Absolutely. Without manufacturing, we could be held hostage by any of the countries that do have the high manufacturing. I mean, if we would ever go to war, China could shut us down and not send us anything. We would lose, or definitely be at a very big disadvantage.
Who's fighting for the middle class today? Who's fighting for you? Who's fighting for this town, for your town, for Indiana?
You fight for yourself, you fight for your family, but I don't know that there's really anybody fighting for us.
Are you worried about the future of this country?
Oh, scared to death. I mean, I just feel like the whole country is depressed in a lot of ways because of loss of manufacturing jobs and the loss that adds to other businesses because of that.
Still believe in the American dream?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. Only way the American dream's going to stay alive is if we all get together and demand change in our policies, whether it be our local government, state government, or federal government. Local governments are fighting amongst themselves with tax abatements to try to get a company to come to their area. We're fighting against each other than working with each other. It's going to take a group effort from the working citizens, the middle class, to stand up and be heard and require our elected officials to actually represent us, not the lobbyists that are in their offices and, you know, making donations to their campaigns.
Brent watched as the plants in Muncie and Anderson closed. He followed General Motors to Ohio, but he saw the American dream crumbling, and he knows if plants like this one in Toledo close, these communities face the same fate. He's worried about his children, his grandchildren, his friends, and mostly, he's worried about America.
Meanwhile, back in Michigan at Holt Products, Todd Hunt tells me that his American dream is disappearing right before his very eyes. And the main reason? Poor decisions made by our government.
How does America survive as a service industry, selling coffee and sandwiches and croissants and not building things like the high-end parts like this one, for example, that you build?
It's all going to be fine and well until one day that some other country decides to start dictating what they want America to do, which we've never been in the history of our existence, never been anybody's bitch, if you will.
Why is the government, Republican, Democrat, Independent, I don't care, why are we allowing America to be gutted? If World War II happened today, could we answer the bell?
No. I don't believe that the politicians, right, left, even know enough or have enough experience to hold the very offices that they hold and even understand what is the strength of this country. One of the largest producers of brass rod came to me 6 months ago and sat down in this very plant and said, Todd, we have lost 2 billion pounds of production to overseas. One of the largest uses of brasses are plumbing fittings. Not a single pound of plumbing fittings are made in this country anymore. They're shipped in by the cratefuls as a commodity because they can make it, ship it, land it cheaper than I can buy the material. Now all of a sudden, guess what happens? Holy shit, this stuff we're bringing in for cratefuls for pennies on the dollars from overseas is contaminated with lead. And our drinking water in California is now contaminated. We say, and our corporate earnings look good,
right.
So Wall Street's happy. But guess what? Now we're contaminating people with our drinking water, or we're eating rotten blueberries, or whatever it is. Now they come to people like me and go, oh, we got to do something about this. Really? Okay, what do you want to do about it? Well, we want to bring this production back. Okay, let's do it. Oh, by the way, after we spend 6 months getting ready to do this, well, we want to bring this production back. But you still need to meet the offshore price.
How do you do that? You have minimum wage requirements, you've got OSHA requirements, you've got all sorts of safety requirements, you've got environmental requirements, none of which exist in many of the offshore manufacturing facilities, right or wrong.
Do not exist. Pull that part out that you just had out here, for instance. This part right here, I took it from offshore and brought it back to this country. It was being built overseas with lead-based plating that has cyanide in it that I can't use in this state. This is for an American company. It's a disaster. And I've got the President of the United States that leans forward and looks deep into the camera and says, well, you manufacturers that can't find workers, just pay them more money. I'm offended. I don't even want to say what I said. I'm offended. I've got 82 years in this business, 82 years of building parts. And let me tell you something, there's nobody getting rich doing what I'm doing.
Do you believe in the American dream to date?
My anger wants to say, nope, it's broken and we ain't bringing it back. But as I said, I don't think you can break the American local small businessman spirit. My wife and I are in a place in our lives where we can make decisions. We don't have to keep doing what we're doing. But we decided together, we're going to fight
For this country.
until there's nothing left to fight for.
For this country, for these people, for these families, for the
people that
future.
for my kids. And in the end, I don't know if we'll win. But in the end, I'll have fought right to the end.
Whatever you want to do, you can do it in America.
So you believe in America?
For sure. Greatest country on the planet.
We're standing a good income, good job, keeping a good family. You do what you want, you know, under the American rules.
We've learned at least one thing today. Most people believe the American dream is alive and well.
Still believe in the American dream?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else.
And yes, others have given up on it.
In my eyes, hell no.
And business owners like Todd, who are fighting every day just to keep the American dream alive.
So there you have it. The American dream's still alive and well. Most people believe in it. Others are struggling to hang on to it. The real question is, what happens to the next generation when they come up to bat? How will they handle it? You think about that. I'm Steve Gruber. I'll see you next week, America.